Hello everybody, back again. Something slightly different this time. Let me give you the backstory. We have an old BMW E34, very nice car. It's 28 years old and it's been off the road for a while, but we've lost the key. So we went to BMWs with the key, the logbook, proof of address, proof of ID, etc, etc, and they gave us this key here. According to the chassis number, which was, this key was obviously the key when the car was brand new, but it doesn't work. So at some point in the car's life, it's had all its locks changed. So now we're presented with a problem that we've got no key for the car and we need to move it. What I've done here is removed the complete assembly for the door lock on the driver's side. That's important, on the driver's side. I won't go through that because there's plenty of videos showing how to do that, but basically there's a little sliding clip here. You open an access panel on the door shut and move this little clip back. The outer kind of fascia will come off, which reveals a locking ring here, and you take a little bolt out there, M6, so it's 10mm socket, and this whole, remove these, this whole assembly will come off. Now I've already removed this bit. I should have videoed this, but I've already removed this piece, which is the mechanism, the barrel itself. Now that is held in place through there. That's held in up there with this little pin, so you need a little punch to drive that pin out. There's also a little seal to prevent moisture ingress, and this whole thing will come out if you had the original key, but it doesn't. So if you look closely here, I don't know if that'll focus, but you can see there, that focus, you can see there that these little slides are sticking out. Now these all have to be flush before this barrel will come out of the housing. Now what I was able to do with a selection of BMW keys and this little screwdriver jammed up there and wiggling around quite a lot, I was actually able to remove this whole assembly. If you look, as you move the key, that bottom slide especially moves in. So I was actually able to release this eventually with a lot of jiggling. Anyway, I didn't film that, so we're at the position here now. So what I've done in the past many times is, here we go, I've had the key to a car, but say the driver's door lock didn't work or had been changed and the rest of the car was of one key and it had an odd key for the driver's door lock. To rebuild this lock actually isn't very difficult if you have the original key. And there's, in here, there are 12 little slides, all numbered. I think they're either numbered 1 to 4 or 1 to 6, I can't remember. And you can remove these slides from your donor lock. Say you've got this from a breakers, this is your donor lock. You can remove these slides and reconfigure them to fit your original key. Now the problem I have here is I don't have the original key and a new lock. I've got the original lock and a new key. So what I have to do now is remove each of these slides very carefully and note the order in which they are, because that's the code for the key. So we're just going to do that in a minute. Now these little slides are also sprung loaded. If you look there, there's a tiny little drilling there which has a very small spring inside, because every one of these is obviously spring loaded. So you have to be very careful when you remove the key that the whole lot doesn't just fall apart. So what I'm going to do very carefully, and there's also a left and a right, because as you know, on all BMW keys, I have one here, the left side of the key is quite different from the right side of the key. They're not symmetrical like a lot of keys. So there's 12 slides, 6 lefts and 6 rights. So we have to be very careful in which order we mark them as well, because it is possible to make the key a mirror image of what it should be. So what we're going to do is a piece of paper, out the printer, and we're going to start marking these up. So on this side there are 2 milled slots in there. I don't know if they're significant, but I'm going to use that as our datum, because what I see here on here, right, there's 6 pairs. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 pairs. So what I'm going to do is just take the first pair out, which is what I call a left and a right, and I'm going to check what the actual number is on the little slides. So what I'm going to do is mark this as number 1. If you look at the first pair, the very first one as the key enters is on this side. So I'm going to make it on the left. I don't know if it's meant to be that side or not, but I'm going to make this one number 1 and that one on the opposite side at the other end number 12. And if I go to BMWs and it's the wrong way around, they'll be able to just transpose all the figures. Now, I don't think you can get this key cut anywhere else with just the code. I'm not sure, but I think you actually have to go to the dealer. So what we're going to do, pull the first pair out and measure and just look at them. I'm just checking everything looks fine. So on this side now, this is number 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11 on here. And if I was to turn it over, that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. That looks right. So I'm going to mark on my piece of paper these 2 slots, because I'm sure these 2 slots are a datum. Okay, so 2 slots. 2 slots on this side, right and left. Okay, so pair 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, and also, as I said earlier, be very careful when you're removing these, because these will spring out and go everywhere. Right, I've got a little pair of, now I'm just going to keep these very level as well, because if you tilt it 90 degrees they could also fall out. Not only that, but what just happened there is ones like that which are stuck but are still under spring pressure, just be very careful as you pull that out to relieve the spring pressure so that it doesn't ping out. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that side, and I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on that side. Perfect. So I'm going to take the first one out on this side, very carefully. I'm going to lay that down very carefully, and this is, oh, it's very dirty. Naturally, the car's 28 years old. I can't actually see what number that is, but I do have a little magnifying glass here. So I'm just going to look with the magnifying glass and see if I can see a number on it. That actually says 23. So I'm going to pop that one back in, because I don't want to upset the order for anything, because if I upset it we are lost cause. So that's 23 on there, and I pull the opposite one out, turn around and pull this one out, pop that back down, They're very dirty. Magnifying glass. I think that says 12. I thought they were just numbered 1 to 6. No, that is definitely 12. I'm going to pop that one back in, being very, very careful. So that's the first couple. One, two. Now, number 3 is on this side. And I need to push that out from there because that one's actually stuck. There we go. Keep that there. So it goes 1. That's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do it that way. Yes, I am. Just going to stop and have a think. Okay, I've just had a little think about this because it's a long time since I've done it, many years. So, number 1 is a left, number 2 is a right, number 3 is a right, number 4 is a left, number 5 is a left, number 6 and 7 are right, 8 and 9 are left, 10 is right, 11 is right, 12 is left. So, I have rewritten it out slightly so that I've now got 1 to 12 and I've got left and right, and I've also got the 2 slots marked at the top, so I know that little 2 slots there is what I'm calling right. So I've done number 1, which is this very first one, is 23. Number 2 is 12. Number 3, which I'm just going to pull out now. These are a bit stuck. Bit stuck and very dirty. I'm only going to take them one out at a time and put one back at a time. Now it's quite easy to tell which way up this should be, because as I pull number 4 out here, which is this one here, they have this little arm here which runs against the spring, so you know it can't go that way, it has to go that way. So it's quite easy to tell that they are the right way up. You can't put the left or right upside down. So you can see a pattern forming. There's a single, twos, single, a single one, 2 adjacent ones, 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 and a single. So the very last one, if we've done it all right, should be the single one, 12 at the end. So we're on to 1, 2, 3, 4. We're on to number 5 now. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one here. Which is another left. Very, very careful. Okay, I will continue and get back to you. Okay, so I'm finished and I have the code here. I'm not going to show you because obviously somebody could make a key and steal the car, but we are now finished. That's just the first version. It only has 2 numbers out of 12. So that's all done. I haven't removed more than one at a time, so these are all still in the exact positions they should be. So what I'm going to do is put this key back in just to hold them all in place, because once the key is in, these can't possibly come out. So again, needs a little bit of jiggling because obviously it's not the right key. So there we go, they're all secure in there now. Okay, they can't come out. Now just a little note, I believe, I might be wrong, but I believe that on the driver's door there are 12 slides. On other doors, or maybe the boot, or certainly the glove box, maybe even the locking fuel cap, if there is one, there aren't always 12 slides. I think especially on the glove box there are a lot fewer slides, because obviously you don't need the level of security for the glove box that you would for the driver's door. And that's why I said earlier it's important that you choose the driver's door when you're doing this, because there may well be pairs of slides missing on other locks. I believe that's the case. Now, I haven't done this kind of work for 20 years, but I used to do this all the time, as I say. So what we're going to do is phone up the dealer, see if they can cut a key. I'm sure they'll be able to cut a key. I'm also going to phone a local company up here called Lock and Key, who are very, very experienced at this kind of work. They're not your average Timsons that you have in Tesco's car park. And see if they can cut it. Well, we're back again. I think my battery just died at the end of that last clip. Anyway, I think you get the gist of it. So what we have now is the new key. So let's get that out and we'll have a quick look at that. Okay, so here's the key that BMW cut to the chassis number. Totally wrong, totally didn't work. We know the car has had a lock change in its life. All the locks are the same, so it's not just one specific lock. But BMW only have a record of this key. Now, normally if you have the misfortune to lose all your keys and you have to have the locks changed on your BMW, they will have a record of the replacement, but it didn't work in this case. Anyway, here we go. So we go to a place called Lock and Key Centre, Aylesbury. I'll put a link in the description later. Now, I'd already decoded the lock, so I haven't done it for maybe 20 years. So they cut a key to the code, but unfortunately that didn't work because it was actually a mirror image. Now, if I take out the key, being very careful again not to lose any slides. Yeah. So what, this is the first one, this is the second one. They actually cut the key, not their fault because it's what I gave them. These are a mirror image of each other. So the second go, let me just show you. See, if you look with that key, we've got these slides sticking out that will never work. Okay, so you cut a mirror image and it is absolutely perfect. So although I decoded it correctly, I had the datum 180 degrees out. So if we got the lock here, this is the handle, the mechanism. So this will now go straight back in here, and it has to be the right way up. That way, I think. And now that will work perfectly. That actuates the lock here. I don't think it will work upside down. No, it does only go one way up. So that is the correct way up, okay? Now, unfortunately, this little seal here was broken, so we're still going to put it back on because it will help. Tuck that back in. That's better. Gives a little bit of resistance now. And the last thing to do is to put this little pin back in. Now I'm just going to pop downstairs and get a hammer because I need a hammer and punch just to put that back in. So give me a moment. There we are. Little securing pin is back in. We've got fully operational. Now this is relatively easy to refit. There's one little bolt here. You put this in from the inside of the door skin. One little bolt here that goes from the outside to the inside, it bolts on, and on here there's a locking ring that you tighten up, and that's basically it. There's a plastic, well, I think it's metal, I'm not sure actually, surround here, little bezel here, which you put in, and then as I showed you earlier, this little strip here is actually the locking latch here. So you push that in, and you could probably lever it off of here with a screwdriver. You pull that back, and there we are. So I'll put a link in the description for Aylesbury lock and key, and there we are, job done. See you next time.